A very warm welcome to the 6th edition of the Peace Drops for the Great Green Wall. My name is Aneta, and I'm very happy to be your host today. The Peace Drops for the Great Green Wall is an initiative of the Brahma Kumaris to create the awareness, to create space, so we can appreciate and help in this great green wonder that is growing across the Sahel region in Africa. The Peace Drops is an invitation and opportunity to become a part of this wonderful solution towards so many challenges of the climate change, biodiversity loss, and land degradation. Today, we will have a closer look at the progress of the Great Green Wall in Nigeria. And also, we will focus on how to create an awareness through introspection. So, whatever we do can really become an effective way to help. There is a fable about an eagle that thought that he was a chicken. When the eagle was small, he fell off from the safety of his nest. And then a chicken farmer found the eagle, brought him to the farm, and raised him in a chicken coop among other chickens. So the eagle grew up doing what chickens do, living like a chicken, and believing he was a chicken. And then, one sunny day, he got the courage, and his true awareness got awakened. He stretched his massive wings and he flew. He became who he was, the king of the sky. Today, this is an invitation for everyone who is watching this episode. An invitation to have a moment of introspection, to go inside and to rediscover my true awareness, to see the highest potential that lies within me, to see that I am a being that is peaceful, loving, courageous, compassionate, and powerful. And being aware of that, I can make a change. So now, let us just relax, reflect, and rediscover who we truly are. So together we can co-create this great green wonder. Enjoy.
Living in this material world, it is easy to mistake illusion for reality. When I use only the physical eyes to navigate through the world, I become short-sighted, limiting myself to images that only bring temporary gains. Now, I wish to step out of this limited existence to see what really matters in my life. For this, I must become aware of myself, who I really am. It is this awareness that would help me create sound connections with others, with nature, and with the elements. I take a moment now to see myself as more than just a physical form. I allow the image of myself, my true self, to emerge. I am light, spiritual energy. I focus my attention on myself as a being of light. How empowering is this awareness? I am light. This awareness brings peace in my mind and joy in my heart. These are natural to my true self. These are my true qualities, my true state of being. I stay in this awareness. I feel completely peaceful. Peace is my true state of being. I am peace. Let me reflect on this for a moment. With a peaceful mind, I look out through the windows of my eyes. I view my surroundings with newness of vision, newness of attitude, and the feeling of caring and appreciation for everything and everyone. The power of my spiritual awareness gives me a true perspective of my world, one where transformation is possible. I cast my peaceful vision further afield to the Sahel. I see the faces of many in the region etched with sadness and despair. As I channel rays of peace to all in the region, I observe the gradual transformation of sadness into joy and despair into hope. This transformation brings about enthusiasm and determination within the hearts and mind of the people to restore their region to its own thriving state. I continue to pour rays of hope to the people and the land and allow the magic of transformation to take place. Awareness allows me to give in a natural way, pure and selfless. When we practice spiritual awareness, we naturally radiate light into the world that meets the world's needs, regardless of what the need may be. Let us vow to take special moments throughout the day, each day, to send rays of peace to the work of the great green wall. Thank you. Once upon a time, there was a king who reigned over a very rich land, but he really had no knowledge of the extent of his wealth. From fauna to flora to soil and subsoil, everything there abounded. The king was having a field day, but he was overly ambitious. Once he said to himself, "I wonder what more can I do to make a more comfortable fortune for myself and build a city of my dreams?" So he set up a tax collection system. He would tax every member of the population. In return, the king promised that he will take care of any grievances they may have. Things like roads, household waste, security, justice, and many other conveniences of general interest will be sorted by the king. But he hastened in case of need. He distributed land for various farms so that he can be even more benefited. Time passed and business flourished. Seeing the abundance of resources generated by these different operations, his ministers increased the tax rate on the minerals as well as the tax on the activity of foreigners. This was contributed to increasing not only the income of the king, but also his carelessness. His greed resulted in a spiral of continual increases in taxes. Ever so often, there was the introduction of new taxes in society without any consultation. For example, each household was responsible to supply water to the palace of the king. The population were quickly becoming poorer. The king did not care too much about the fate of the people who were at his disposal to satisfy his desires. Then came the wedding of the king's eldest daughter, an event eagerly awaited by the population, who were now accustomed to the splendor by which only the sovereign had the exclusivity. The guests, despite the obvious delights presented to them through various delicious dishes on offer, they had a single subject of concern: that the floral decoration of the palace on this occasion. They observed that the bulk of the flowers were imported. This posed a very expensive budget, which the population could not afford. But for the pleasure of the king, what couldn't be applauded? The king, becoming aware of his unreasonably expensive decoration, he immediately spoke out in a loud voice. "My daughter," he said, "isn't this grand room beautiful enough to deserve such decorations?" Turning to his people, he said, "I promised to personally pay all her dowry. Surely you should be grateful to me for that." With that, he quickly moved the subject on. He couldn't understand What could upset his people so much? You see, the king was very body conscious and selfish. But this time, the population was not to be fooled. Time passed, and the king grew old. But with so much riches, he was the envy of the rulers of other lands. When they speak of him, they would not only focus on him and his wealth, but also spoke of how he treated himself to such lavish parties and invited his people to keep them under his control. Then one day a wise man visited the kingdom. While they feasted on a scrumptious meal, the wise man decided to enlighten the king about the life of a lion. "Your Majesty," he said, "do you know anything about the life of the lion, king of the forest?" The king thought for a while, then he said, "I can't say that I do." The wise man smiled and proceeded to tell the king in great details. "However long a lion lives," he said in a low yet firm voice, "he will die, possibly miserably." "But that's life," the wise man continued. "The lion could die young from wounds contracted when defending his pride. Or he could die old, weakened by age. Of course, when the lion is at the top of its form, it reigns over the forest. It hunts other animals to satisfy his hunger, catches them, devours them, and leaves their carcasses to hyena and scavengers." The wise man looked directly at the king as he spoke. "But ages come quickly," he continued. "Then the old lion can neither hunt nor kill, let alone defend himself. He will roar until exhaustion, but he will be surrounded and eaten by hyenas. They will not even wait for his last breath before dismembering him." The wise man ended the account with the following statement: "Life is short and power fleeting." The king, who was silently listening to all that the wise man was saying, felt the full measure of what his life has been, so similar to that of the lion. He began to take heed of what was going on in the kingdom. He found that animals were becoming increasingly rare, that the flowers had completely disappeared, and that the population has resorted to constantly moving in search of new sites to exploit in their need for food and water, leaving behind them dry, lifeless, and barren fields. The once lush kingdom had become a wasteland. Even the leaves of the trees had lost their shine. The king had walled himself in the air-conditioned comfort of his huge estate, with its impressive luxury contrasting fundamentally with that of the rest of the population. He had been deaf to the solicitations of his people, whose money had become of little value, and the ones who had some money considered themselves so lucky, much to the detriment of those without anything. The king called a meeting with his ministers. They all decided to restore the kingdom from its degraded state of exploitation. The king proclaimed that each household should plant and care for a tree in the kingdom. This was done in one season with everyone cooperating. All intelligent ones were called upon to make this task perfect. Meanwhile, the tortoise, having heard of this restoration of the kingdom, summoned the community of animals. All the wildlife answered the call and pledged to return to the lands they had previously abandoned. In time, greenery returned to the kingdom. The land became lush under the skill of a team of agronomists and town planners. They had embarked upon the restoration of forests, agricultural and decorative landscapes. The forest had grown in a short time, and the vegetation were well looked after. Each member of the population was then invited to appropriate plots and had full responsibility to make proper use of it for the good of the whole kingdom. It was a tremendous revolution. With the introduction of this green drive, a veritable green natural wall around this almost mythical region began to take shape. It is proven to be one of the best places to live for everyone without exception.
Sit in a comfortable position and relax. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Turn inside and nurture your authentic self. For the next 7 minutes, let us consider the virtue of introspection and how it can support the Great Green Wall Initiative. The Great Green Wall is a daring, innovative project to plant a forest of trees 15 kilometers wide and 7,000 kilometers long across the southern border of the Sahara Desert, to protect and regenerate soils, water, biodiversity, and livelihoods of the people of the Sahel, to promote peace, resilience, and community well-being. The virtue of introspection enables us to support the Great Green Wall. Introspection is making friends with ourselves and spending time deep inside, in silence. Introspection is taking time to temporarily detach from the outside world and turning inside to reconnect with our original qualities of peace, love, and well-being. Introspection is exploring our inner world, focusing on our positive qualities and consciously experiencing our own self-respect. Like a bear who hibernates for part of the year, we turn to the cave within and seek answers from the inner silence. We quiet the mind and receive nourishment from the Eternal Mother. We enter the silence and find truth within our inner knowing. Vision and imagination are activated. Going within, we check our self-inventory, put aside waste thoughts, and examine our thoughts, feelings, and soul. We ask our heart for guidance and put our attention on transforming old habits to emerge constantly refreshed. By experiencing the virtue of introspection and stepping forward with courage to change, we receive 1,000 times help from the Supreme. By going deep into introspection, we find a pool of pure energy that makes us strong and free and content. We find we are peace and create a life with meaning and purpose. This gives us the power of clarity and the ability to discern and decide the best steps for going forward in any situation. Knowing oneself enables one to act with courage and cooperation to accomplish any task. By going inside, we nourish our own power and energy. And by knowing our true self, we link to the Supreme and benefit from blessings of purity that recharge us for our work in the world. By turning inside, we develop the strength to be a true benefactor and build the energy to contribute to initiatives such as the Great Green Wall that bring harmony and well-being to others. Remain inside for another moment to let your authentic, pure self fill and become stable. And when you are ready, return in your full self-respect to interact with the world and make your unique contributions to creating a better world for all. Om Shanti.
Land degradation, deforestation, and subsequent desertification are becoming some of the most pressing development issues in Nigeria. 43% of the total land area of the country is threatened by desertification. The livelihoods of over 40 million people are also under severe threat. As estimated, desertification in Nigeria destroys about 2,168 square kilometers of rangeland and cropland each year. To address the above phenomena holistically at the regional level, the African Union came up with an initiative.
The Great Green Wall program came out as a result of the international community's intention and desire to combat land degradation in drylands of this, in Africa in particular. It came as a result of the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification, which Nigeria and many other African countries are signatory to. The program is actually centered on establishing a stretch of green area across the African continent, starting from Senegal in the western coast of Africa, and then the Horn of Africa. A total of 11 countries are now members of that organization. It's a Pan-African initiative, and as I said, it's aimed at getting our people living in dry lands out of the situation they find themselves. One of the major issues that confronts Africa in terms of food security is land degradation, and the idea is to get back the land to productivity. It became more obvious when climate change came in. As you know, climate change is a very new phenomenon as far as the environment is concerned, and has altered a lot of land-based activities, especially agriculture. Hitherto, farmers can predict when rain will fall, when it will cease, how much rain they feel they expect, and therefore they don't need to be told when to plant. Things are no longer like that. And so even the Great Green Program has now to be, the approach has to be redesigned in order for it to capture the impacts of climate change and, in the region.
Is Bachaka, a town in Arewa local government area of Kebbi State. Bachaka, where we are standing here, is just about a kilometer to, or less than a kilometer to the boundary between Nigeria and Niger Republic. And this is exactly where the flag off ceremony has taken place. Great Green Wall actually is a program that was initiated by Nigeria. It was initially supposed to be confined in Nigeria, but it was widened to cover about 11 countries, beginning from Djibouti through to Senegal, which these 11 countries have actually involved themselves into this program, but it was initiated in Nigeria.
In Nigeria, the program is being implemented in 11 states, most affected by desertification. These states include Adamawa, Bauchi, Borno, Gombe, Jigawa, Kano, Katsina, Kebbi, Sokoto, Yobe, and Zamfara.
I think we have to cast our mind back. Before Great Green Wall, what were Africans, particularly those in sub-Saharan African countries, are doing? It has been a haphazard approach by individual countries. And even in the countries, if you take Nigeria for instance, what the people in the northwest were doing, in areas like Sokoto, Kebbi, Zamfara, were different approaches from what was obtained in Kano, Sokoto, and Yobe, for example. And that haphazard does not help anybody. What the Great Green Wall has brought to us as the people in Africa in particular is an approach that we do it collectively. In other words, what we are doing in one country, depending upon the specificity of our ecosystems, is what is applicable in other countries. And therefore, that provides an opportunity for one country to learn from the other, or one region to learn from the other what they have done, and they have been successful. And of course, other countries to correct their mistakes. And this is very good because at the end of the day, you will have a collective approach to the issue rather than the haphazard issues we have been had before. So it's a very good thing that we find ourselves in that position because we are finding one single monster together with all our resources, with all our efforts together in order for us to take us to the next level in terms of combating land degradation in the region.
Populations in these states are the most vulnerable to climatic variability and land degradation. The people of these states depend heavily on the fragile ecosystems for rain-fed agriculture, fisheries, and livestock management to sustain their livelihoods. These constitute the primary sectors of employment in the states. About 2/3 of Nigeria's livestock and over 80% of vegetable requirement are sourced from this area, hence occupying a unique economic position of over 150 million people.
Let me try to divide the population into two. You and I, the elites, the policymakers, and the people in the communities who are daily receiving the brunt of land degradation. These are two different peoples under the same issue. You and I, it's easy for us to read in the papers, to watch the television and listen to radio and know about Great Green Wall. What about the people in the communities? We have to go to them. We have to go and tell them what it is. We have to find a way of getting them to key in into the project, otherwise the project will not succeed. And what have we achieved for now in that direction? We have been able to inform the policymakers that we need to direct our policies towards combating land degradation in the north. It is happening, yes, maybe you can say it's happening in northern Sokoto. How does it affect the Mani River State? It does. Because if I'm living in Sokoto State and I don't have a means of livelihood, I'll move down south. And because of the death of social amenities even in the urban areas and semi-urban areas, the more you get people there, the more pressure on the little you're providing. And therefore the impact will even affect those people you met staying in those areas. So it is a global thing that affects everybody. And the first people who must know about and who should adequately know about are the communities. Who are these communities? The communities are the people who are living their daily living from this degrading land. It's a continuous process. And the idea is, let's wage the movement. In other words, you wage the movement of the degradation down south because it's coming from Sahara. And then now you go and recover what you have lost. That is the ultimate aim and objective of the Great Green Wall program. Once you reclaim, the farmer will get back. I can recall that years back, some few decades ago, when people were talking about herdsmen and farmers clash, it wasn't there. It wasn't there because we knew that the cattle coming from as far as northern Africa, Sudan, the extreme western part of West Africa, from the Guinea highlands, they come and move on a particular route down to the Benue Trough, as far as back to Akwa Ibom, up to Edo State, and they come back through the same way. What are we facing today? What we are facing today is this corridor of movement has been taken over by farmers. Why are farmers taking over the corridors? Because where they were farming before have been degraded. So in other words, once you reclaim the degraded area, you're solving so many problems. Because when you look at the map of Nigeria 20, 30 years ago, you find cattle route very clearly. Now where are they? Nowhere to be found. And we also we must understand also that the population has grown. And when there's a population pressure, everybody will go out and look for a piece of land. In those days, a farmer will farm his piece of land this year and will not do it in the next 2-3 years to enable the land recover. Now he doesn't have that luxury. He doesn't have that luxury of allowing his farms fallow to recover because of population, because of land degradation, because of climate change, name it. And the idea is all these issues I raised are supposed to be taken care of through the Great Green Program. But everybody must participate. The farmer must accept it. The farmer must provide land for this work to do. The farmer must participate. The farmer must see that, yes, this is the way out of his own problem he's facing today. And that way we can move forward and achieve what we want to achieve.
Operational activities include establishment of shelter belt and woodlot plantations, provision of water and rural infrastructure, skill acquisition and employment generation.
We've got a lot of benefits. You see, even women are into the dry season farming. And here you can find lettuce, carrots, watermelon, and every other crop that could be planted during the dry season farming.
Before now, we could not access water. Everywhere was dry, but now we plant crops with so much ease, such as moringa and the rest of them, and we benefit a lot from the crops.
What could we do at that time, since there was no water? Not everybody could withstand the task of fetching water from the well. But now that we've got these boreholes, even old and married women usually come out to water their crops. Around 5 to 6 p.m. they go back home. They go to the farm every day to apply fertilizer to their farms. You see, if they were not benefiting, they wouldn't have been coming out. It's been about 4 years now. We've been enjoying constant water supply here. The water is being used by both people and animals. If it were in the morning you came here, you would have seen about 500 different animals, rams, cows, camels, and so on. They come every day to drink water from here. You see, people from neighboring villages abandon their wells and come here to fetch water. In fact, because of the availability of boreholes here, all the wells have long been closed.
Over 600 kilometers of shelter belt established. Over 300-hectare community orchard plantation established. Over 200-hectare community woodlot established. 22-hectare community vegetable gardening to enhance food security and reduce social unrest developed and promoted. 157 solar-powered boreholes with reticulation facilities benefiting over 40,000 people. 498 youths trained and engaged as forest guards. Training of 200 rural women in different off-farm skills such as knitting, soap and perfume making, fabrication of energy-saving cooking stoves to enhance their livelihood.
Yes, there's nothing you can start to do without challenges. Even at the family level, you want to do something, you find challenges left, right, and center. And you sit down with your family members and try to find a solution to it. It's exactly like that. Nigeria, or the northern Nigeria where we operate, is a communities full of communities. It's a collection of peoples, if you know what I mean. Different social backgrounds, different cultural backgrounds, even though they may speak the same language. Now, the challenge here is not necessarily money, because when you talk of government, the first they tell you money. I don't believe money is the first challenge. The first challenge is for the people who are the target group to appreciate that this is a solution to what the problem they're facing. And then once they accept and they key in, then the first challenge is solved. Let me give you an example. As far as 2013 when we started, there was a project we went somewhere and we planted tree seedlings. The following day, the farmers pull it out and throw it away. Because one, that land belonged to somebody. Now, if government doesn't go to the owner of the land and say, look, I want to do A, B, C, D, and this is the benefit you get from this land, please join me, let's do it together. He wouldn't agree, because this is his family land, and he's waiting for the rains to come for him to go and plant his crop. So keying in of the communities is the number one issue. Now, what are the challenges? The communities don't have the capacity to do what you want them to do in order for you to get results. And therefore, if you want capacity, you have to bring in the government. Fortunately, we have three tiers of government: the closest, the close, and the far. The federal government, the state, and the local government. Now, the first tier of government you want to key in, given the way we operate, is the state government. Key in is more than meeting the governor or the commissioner and say, yes, we agree, we're going to do it. No. We must get a commitment. And that commitment means what? Part of their budget should go into this program so that they can partner the federal government in doing their job. That way, you'll be able to enable them to own up that project. Anything less than that is the federal government project. Yes, it's a federal government project. Yes, it is true federal government doesn't have land anywhere outside Abuja and Lagos. So you need to go through the state government to get the land, to get their buy-in, to get them to spend the money on it, and get the community enlightened and build their capacity in order for them to key in. To me, these are the major challenges. And then once you have done that, the issue of money, the issue of human resources, the challenges may come in. But primarily, is for the people concerned to buy in the project and take up the project and own it. And as I said earlier, so we have started with the communities. We want the government, the state government, all the 11 state governments to come in. 1 or 2 states have expressed their desire to join the program, which is a good news. It means people are appreciating that there's good results coming out of that. Not necessarily Governor of Kebbi State. Governor of Lagos State, he needs to accept that there's a program like that. You know, because they do go to their forums, they talk about it, and you can convince one or two people and say, look, yes, I learned this program is happening in your place. Please buy it in, it's good. It will at least reduce the movement of people from your state to Lagos to come and do menial jobs, which to anybody appears like a waste of human resources. So accept it. Once you accept it, that human resource will go back to your place and add to the development of your state. So my first general comment is to plead with the media, whether it's print media or it is the electronic media, to please work with us and tell Nigerians what we are doing and tell Nigerians what they need to do in order to help us to achieve our objectives.
Thank you very much for being with us today, and also for your commitment and all peace drops that you shared since June 2022, when we started the Peace Drops for the Great Green Wall initiative. The whole year was marked by 3 big conferences. First, there was the UN Convention to Combat Desertification, COP15 in Abidjan. Then there was the UN Climate Change Conference, COP27 in Sharm el-Sheikh. And right now, there is UN Convention on Biological Diversity, COP15, happening in Montreal. And in all of those conferences, what we have observed is that the Great Green Wall is really one of the main and flagship projects demonstrating that grassroots activities, that intergovernmental cooperation and contribution from so many organizations and individuals can make a difference. Actually, it does make a big difference. So congratulations for your wonderful work and all precious contribution. And hereby I would like to wish you from the bottom of my heart, and also on behalf of the whole team, a very wonderful season at the end of the year. It is a special season, special time to maybe check how the year went and what we can do better next year, and also to be grateful for what has happened. And then we also wish you a beautiful, sustainable, and very green next year, 2023. Let us together make the Great Green Wonder happen. All the best, and thank you very much. With greetings of peace. Om Shanti. See you next year.